Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for very kindly coming to this second part or the continuation from the point where we left off on the glories of Prabhu Sri Ram. The aim and agenda of coming together and hearing Katha exclusively about Sri Ram is because on the day of Monday, we are celebrating Dasera or Vijaya Dashami, the day where Prabhu Sri Ram was victorious, the victory of good over evil. And keeping this as the agenda, keeping this as the forefront mission, we are here to discuss about the glories of Sri Ram and primarily to continue from the point where we left off yesterday. But before we get started, let us chant the Mangala Charan prayers, seek auspiciousness from our spiritual superiors like Srila Prabhupada, and then get started in our today's discussion. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Meneti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Anandalila Maya Vigrahaya हे मावदिव्य छवि सुंदराय तस्मै महाप्रेम रसप्रदाय चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते चैतन्य चंद्राय नमो नमस्ते नित्यानंदम अहम नौमि सर्वानंदम करम परम हरिनाम प्रदम देवम अवधूत शिरोमणि. श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की, श्री नित्यानंद राम की, मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम रामचंद्र भगवान की, मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम रामचंद्र भगवान की, मर्यादा पुरुषोत्तम रामचंद्र भगवान की. हरे कृष्ण. Thank you all for very kindly assembling here and inspiring me with your very, very kind presence. If not for all of you all, probably I wouldn't be here sitting and speaking about the glories of Sri Ram. So before I even start describing, I want to offer my heartfelt gratitude and heartfelt obeisance to all the devotees present here. In the Ram Raksha Stotra, the stotras or the verses that glorify Sri Ram as far as protection is concerned, there is a very beautiful verse comes up. Please kindly chant along. Ramaya Rama Bhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaye Pataye Namaha. This is a very popular verse that's often chanted in India in the glorification of Sri Ram. What does it mean? Ramaya Rama Bhadraya. Bhadra means auspiciousness. Jagannath Baldev Subhadra. Bhadra means auspiciousness, and that personality who is the embodiment of not just auspiciousness, too much auspiciousness is Subhadra. Likewise, Darshan, Sudarshan. Su is a prefix that emphasizes or heightens the mood. So likewise, Bhadra means auspiciousness. But who is Sri Ram? Ramaya Rama Bhadraya. Sri Ramchandra is that personality who is filled with auspiciousness. He is filled with auspiciousness, and the devotee who worships him is also filled with auspiciousness. But Ramaya Rama Bhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase. The Vedas also call him by another name, by the name Ramachandra. So one name of him is Ram, but the verse also says he has another name in the Vedas called as Ramachandra. Ramaya Rama Bhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya. And he is the Lord, he is the master. He is the worshipable deity of the Raghunath Vamsha. Raghunathaya Nathaya. But who is he actually? Sitaye Pataye Namaha. He is the most beloved consort or the husband of Sri Ram. Remaining are all externals. He is the most auspicious. He has a name by the name called as Ramachandra. In the Vedas, he has a different name. But these are externals. He is primarily known as Sitapati. The Lord likes it more when he is addressed with the name of a devotee. Like for example, when we say, Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate. Now the first line of this verse, these are all glorification of the Lord, but it has nothing to do with devotees. These are all secondary glorification. These are called as Gaunanam, secondary names of the Supreme Lord. But the next line you see, Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta. This is primary names. Mukhya Naam. So in this popular verse that we chant, the first line is Gauna Naam, secondary name. And the second line is Mukhya Naam. The first line is the secondary and the first line is the primary. Why is the second line primary? Because it reminds the Supreme Lord of his devotees. Whether it's the friends, whether it is the Braja Gopis, or at the end, Srimati Radharani. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu, Dina Bandho Jagatpate, Gopesha, Gopika Kanta, then Radha Kanta. Similarly here, Sri Ram has different names, but all of that, he likes it when he's addressed in connection to his devotee. And that is why the last line ends by saying Sitapati. Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaye Pataye Nama. He is the most worshipable husband of Sita Devi. Yesterday, dear devotees, in our discussion, we were explaining as to how Valmiki attained complete purity. He attained self-realization. He got the ability to write Ramayana by chanting of the names of Prabhu Sri Ram. He who was a dacoit, he who was a hunter, had a complete switch, had a complete transformation just by chanting of the names of the Supreme Lord. In the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is very beautifully explained that one time there was one person who was a devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He went to the forest to attend nature's call. And now as he went there, he held his tongue because he was infatuated by chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. All the time he would chant. All the time he would chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So now when he was in the forest, he was holding his tongue. He was not chanting. So one 5-year-old boy was seeing this. And he came and he said, hey, why are you doing this? Why are you holding your tongue? Why are you not chanting? He said, no, the activity that I am doing is very contaminated and the names of the Lord are very, very pure. So this is not the right time when I chant the names of the Supreme Lord. This boy looked at him and said, haven't you heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He said, of course I have heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, haven't you heard about the Sikshashtakam prayers? He said, yes, I have heard about the Sikshashtakam prayers. This boy said, haven't you heard in the Sikshashtakam prayers? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatra pita niyamita smarane nakala etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi durdaivam idrishamiha janina nuraga. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains that to chant the holy name, there are no hard and fast rules. At any time, at any place, anyone can chant. Udhite, shuhite, yatha tata namle, desha kala niyam nai sarva siddhi hoye. The Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, standing up, sitting down, walking, talking, doing any activity. Udhite, shuhite, yatha tata namle. However it is possible, just chant. Desha kala niyam nai. There is no rules for which place you are in. There are no rules for time. But anyone who chants, sarva siddhi hoy, he gets full perfection. So this boy looked at this. That holy name can be chanted at any time. So why are you holding your tongue back? When this person heard, he immediately released his tongue. At the moment he released his tongue, Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, Harinam, like water was gushing through his mouth. When do you use the word gushing? When a dam has broken, right? There is a difference between tap water and water gushing. Chaitanya Charitamrita explains, when his tongue was released, Harinam Prabhu, like water was just gushing out from his mouth. And loudly at that spur of the moment, in the forest, he began to chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Now as this was going on, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from a distance is seeing this. Imagine, there's a person in the forest. A small boy sees him. He goes and gives instruction. Mahaprabhu from a distance is seeing. What is this boy saying? Mahaprabhu was so inspired. Mahaprabhu calls him, hey. He called the boy, made him sit on his lap. He said, what is your name? This boy looked at Mahaprabhu and said, Gopal. My name is Gopal. Mahaprabhu said, no, your name is not just Gopal. You are giving instructions even to me. You are reminding me the glories of Harinam. You are no longer Gopal. You are Gopal Guru. You are my Guru, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told a 5-year-old boy. That boy becomes one of the prominent acharyas of our sampradaya by the name Gopal Guru Goswami, who ends up writing even commentary to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. 5-year-old boy. So age has nothing to do with bhakti. One may be even a 5-year-old but can become a guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Age has nothing to do. We see Prahlad, we see Dhruva, we see so many examples of personalities from Bhagavatam where from an age standpoint they were very small but had loads of realization. And Gopal Guru Goswami is another example. In the Ramayana it is very beautifully described that one time Ravan got to know, Ravan's ministers, they went and told Ravan, your brother Vibhishan, inside his house, in every wall he has written Ram, 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 Ram. Go and chastise him. He is your brother, but seems like he's on another side. So Ravan came there and he entered the house of Vibhishan. Every wall was just Ram, 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 Ram. He said, hey, are you my brother or are you Ram's brother? He said, no, I'm your brother. He said, if you are my brother, why are you writing the name of Ram? He said, no, 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 no. It is not name of Ram. He said, Acha, explain to me. I can see it as Ram. What is the purport behind? He said, no, it is not Ram. Here Ra stands for Ravan. Ma stands for Mandodri. I am writing Ravan, Mandodri, Ravan, Mandodri, Ravan, Mandodri. Ravan became so excited. He said, every wall of Lanka should have Ram, 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 Ram. Krishna Bhakta ei bada chatur. Devotees of the Lord are very intelligent. If you don't surrender the right way, they will trick you and get to the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Harinam Prabhu is very, very glorious. And it is this Harinam Prabhu who practically helped even Valmiki. And time and again, we see this in the pages of the Shastra. This Nam Prabhu has come in our lives by the mercy of Sri Guru. And it is not something that is there only in Kali. It was there in Dwapar, it was there in Treta, and it was there in Satya. So, continuing from the point where we mentioned yesterday that being a hunter, Ratnakar, he was chanting the name of Ram so much that an ant hill was formed all over his body. An ant hill in Sanskrit is called as Valmikam. What is it called? That personality who was constantly chanting Ram Nam so much so that there was an ant hill, Valmikam, all over his body, gets the name Valmiki. And by the power of Ram Nam, ends up writing Ramayana. So it is a time-tested philosophy. Those who want to make advancement will take shelter of Sri Nam Prabhu. It's not just a Kali Yuga, Yuga Dharma. It is Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali. And we see as to how, yesterday we were mentioning that Kaikai accepts the will of Dashrath or accepts the will of Sri Ram. Even though her heart is not there, she still accepts it. With a stone in her heart, with a very, very heavy heart, she accepts the will of the Lord. And not just her. Look at even Dasharath Maharaj. He gives up his life heir just after 4 days of departure of Sri Ram to the forest. In just about 3 or 4 days, Dasharath Maharaj gives up. To satisfy the will of the Lord, the devotee is ready to even give up his life. The devotees of the Lord are such, it is explained, that the mind is always absorbed in the Lord. And whatever they do is only so that how the Lord can be pleased. We were mentioning this yesterday, that what is service, what is seva? When our desires are one with the Lord's desire, this is service. When our desires are different from the Lord's desires, it becomes selfishness. And we gave the example of Hanuman from the Ramayana. As to how in Treta Yuga he was a prominent personality, but in Dwapar Yuga, he takes a position of a very insignificant person on the flag. Lord Shiva is like this. Mind is constantly absorbed in chanting of Ram Nam. You see, in India there is a place called as Kashi. And Kashi is the place where Mayavad is prominent. You have Mayavadis pretty much everywhere. That is where Prakashananda Saraswati was there. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and smashed his arguments into pieces. Not just him, all the 60,000 disciples. So in Kashi, it is normally believed that the person who dies in Kashi gets the Supreme Lord. Mukti Kshetra. He who departs in Kashi gets the Supreme Lord. The question arises, why? Why is Kashi so glorious? Because it is believed in Kashi you have Kashi Vishwanath. Varanasi Purapatim Bhaja Vishwanatham. काशी में यदि किन्हीं की चलती है तो केवल विश्वनाथ जी की चलती है, मानो ठाकुर जी की भी नहीं चलती. So there in Kashi you have Lord Shiva, and it is believed that the person who is departing this world, Lord Shiva leaves everything, goes to that person, and in the ear of that person Lord Shiva chants Ram, 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 Ram. Now when the person is departing, he is not hearing Bollywood songs. He is not hearing Netflix, but he is hearing the chanting of Ram Nam. That too from the personality like Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva's chanting is pure name. It is not Nam Aparad. It is not even Nam Abhas. It is Shuddha Nam. It is the pure name. So when Lord Shiva chants the name of Ram in the ear of the departing person, it is explained this becomes the reason for the deliverance of that person who is departing in Kashi. Now Lord Shiva is a very interesting personality. Very, very devoted to the lotus feet of Sri Ram. One time, Parvati, she went to Sri Ram. She went to Lord Shiva. And she said, look at all your friends. Indra, Chandra, Agni, Vayu, Varuna. All of them have a big house. Look at you, sitting under a tree. So even if you're Lord Shiva, you will have Grahastha problem. Even Lord Shiva is not an exception. It is parampara, it is sampradaik. Even if you're Lord Shiva, ghar mein thoda transcendental differences will be there. Parvati goes to Lord Shiva and says, hey, look at your friends, Indra, Chandra, Agni, Vayu, Varuna. They have big, big houses. You're sitting under a tree. You have married me. At least give me one house. Lord Shiva says, haan, theek hai. Now through his mystic potencies, he creates a house. And now house means Graha Pravesh. You have to invite sadhus. So Lord Shiva invited sadhus. And every sadhu who came, Lord Shiva was giving a gift. Sadhus would come, he would give a gift. And finally all the sadhus were done. Lord Shiva went and started doing his bhajan. One more sadhu came. Now gifts were over, one last sadhu came. Lord Shiva thought to himself, what should I do? All the gifts are anyway done. I don't have anything to give. He gave the whole house as a gift to that sadhu. Parvati said, hey, you build this house and now you're calling all the sadhus, and now that you don't have anything, you're giving this house as a gift. What is this? Lord Shiva said, what should I do? He's a sadhu, he's asking something from me, how can I refuse? And Lord Shiva, who was initially sitting under a tree, now again goes back to sitting under a tree. Again he has nothing. Lord Shiva is such a personality who is so much absorbed in chanting Ram Nam. Whether he's under a tree or whether he has a house, it doesn't mean anything to him. And look at Lord Shiva's resume. Look at his resume. It is very beautifully explained. Who's Lord Shiva? Swayam Mahesha Shvashuro Nagesha Sakha Dhanesha Tanayo Ganesha Tathapi Bhiksha Thanameva Shambhu Baliyasi Kevalamishwarecha. What is Lord Shiva's resume? Swayam Mahesha, he is Mahesha. Shvashuro Nagesha, his father is Himalayan mountains. His Sasurji is Himalayan mountains. I was at one place and one devotee was telling me, of course, a Grahastha. He was telling me that Prabhuji, there are 3 people from whom you should be very cautious. I said, who? He said, Sur, Asur, Sasur. 3 जन से बच के रहो प्रभु जी, सुर, असुर, ससुर. I said, okay. It is realization for me. In every place you get like bits and pieces like this. So who is Lord Shiva's Sasur? Who is his father-in-law? The Himalayan mountains. He is Mahesha. His father-in-law is the Himalayan mountains. Sakha Dhanesha. His friend is Kubera. Imagine having your friend as Mukesh Ambani. That will be the introduction to our resume. Our skill set will be later. My friend is Mukesh Ambani. Reference. Look at Lord Shiva. If he wants a reference, he is Mahesha. His father-in-law is Himalayan mountains. His friend is the Kubera or Dhanesha. Tanayo Ganesha. His son is Ganpati. After all this also, Tathapi Bhiksha Thanameva Shambhu. He goes from house to house. Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi. Bhavati Bhiksham Dehi. After all this, he goes and begs. Bali Yasi Kevalamishwarecha. Taking it as the will of the Lord. Lord Shiva is just sitting at one place and constantly chanting. Rupa Goswami says a devotee has a mood called as Avyartha Kalatvam. What is it called? Avyartha Kalatvam. What is it called? Rupa Goswami says Avyartha Kalatvam means devotee has this mood of not wasting time. Every minute that he has, he will try to utilize that in some way or the other to serve the Supreme Lord. Either it can be Mandira Marjanam, it can be Sri Murti Prem Seva, it can be Katha, it can be Kirtan, it can be any service for that matter. He will make sure that every moment is utilized. And Lord Shiva is the perfect example who practically has everything at his disposal to lead a very luxurious life. In spite of that, he sits under a tree and keeps chanting Ram, 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 Ram. How wonderful. This is why Lord Shiva is considered the best among devotees, because he practically teaches by example. We were mentioning this point yesterday as to how Sri Ram, before the exile happened, it is very beautifully described that one time Maya Sita went to a garden to pick flowers. And that is the same garden Sri Ram also came. Sri Ram came there, Maya Sita came, and this is the first meeting of Sri Ram and Sita. And as Maya Sita was plucking flowers for her worship, Sri Ram was also picking flowers. At that point, Sita Devi looks at Sri Ram. Sri Ram looks at Maya Sita. And it is explained, it was Netra Utsav. It was a meeting or the festival of eyes. Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, he had coined this term as Netra Utsav. He would say when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Jagannath Puri, or when he went to Jagannath Puri to see Jagannath, for the first time, Radharani in separation from Krishna, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, saw Krishna in separation from Radharani, that is Jagannath. And this meeting he would call as Netra Utsav. It was a festival of eyes. And similarly here, Sita Devi is saying Sri Ram for the first time. Sri Ram is saying Sita Devi for the first time. Both pick flowers. And as they go back, Sri Ram goes to Lakshman and says, Lakshman, what just happened? I happened to see a girl, and just by seeing her, I had transformations. I have never felt like this. I have seen so many girls, but I have never felt like this. My dear Lakshman, I am Dasharath Nandan. I am the son of the great King Dasharath. How is it that I just see one girl and I get enamored by her beauty? Sri Ram was feeling dejected. Lakshman looks at Sri Ram and says, my dear Lord, don't worry. You are Maryada Purushottam. You never break rules. Internally and externally, you are very pure. It is explained, who is the Supreme Lord? Om apavitro pavitro va sarvavasta gatopi va yah smaret pundari kaksha sa bahyab antara shuchihi. Who is the Supreme Lord? Om apavitro pavitro va sarvavasto gatopi va. He is that personality. At all times, at all places, at all circumstances, He's always pure. Not just He is pure. Yaha smaret pundari kaksha. That personality who remembers the lotus-eyed Lord, Pundari Kaksha, becomes externally and internally pure. Om apavitro pavitro va sarvavasto gatahupi va yah smaret Pundari Kaksha sa bahya pantara shuchihi. So Lakshman looks at Sri Ram and says, my dear Lord, you are that personality who's always pure. And it is very beautifully explained. Lakshman tells Sri Ram, my dear Lord, don't worry. I am very sure that in the future, she is going to become your consort. It is only time that is separating. In 1966, at 26 2nd Avenue, when Prabhupada was there, and there were only few disciples, Mukunda Maharaj, Brahmananda Prabhu, etc. Very handful. At that time, Prabhupada called the lawyers, and he wanted to register the movement. And Mukunda Maharaj is thinking, which movement? There are only 3 people. Which movement? Prabhupada calls the lawyers, and Prabhupada gives the name as International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Mukunda Maharaj looks at Prabhupada and says, Prabhupada, international? Maybe national. At that time, it was not even national. It was not even in New York. It was just in one storefront, which was also rented. So they said, Prabhupada, international, maybe we can change it to national. Prabhupada said, no, international. Mukunda Maharaj explains in his memories, at that time he was thinking, how is it even international? There are like 3-4 members. How is it international? Srila Prabhupada looked at him eye to eye and said, it is only time that is separating. Very soon this will become an international movement. Dear devotees, it actually became a reality. It was almost as if Prabhupada could see the future, that this movement is going to explode like a volcano. Prabhupada got the instruction 40 years back. In 1966, he came to America. And we see 40 years back, he got the instruction. But he prepared for 40 years for that one instruction. And my goodness, he prepared like no one else. Never in the history anyone had prepared like Srila Prabhupada. So it was only time that was separating. And Lakshman here looks at Sri Ram and says, my dear Lord, it is only time that is separating. Very soon she will be your consort. And fast forward, we see a Swayamvar was organized. You see, in the olden days, there would be many kings who would be in line to get married to one queen. And here a Swayamvar was organized for Sita Devi. And the challenge here was to pick up the bow of Lord Shiva. So we are again back to Lord Shiva. Whenever we are discussing Sri Ram, we cannot keep Lord Shiva to the side. It's not just he chanting Ram Nam. Even the bow sacrifice that was there was Lord Shiva's. Now the question arises, why pick up a bow? What's the significance? Why not have a battle between the competitors? Why pick up a bow? It is very beautifully explained. When Sita Devi was small, at that time, Sita Devi would clean the house. When she was very, very small, she would clean the house. And as she would clean the house, with her left hand, she would pick up the bow and she would clean underneath. Look at her power. As a 5-year-old, she picks up the bow with her left hand. So it's not that only Sri Krishna picks up Govardhan with his left hand. Even his devotee picks up the bow with the left hand. This is why often in Hindi you say, Bai Hath Ka Khel. Where is this concept of Bai Hath Ka Khel coming from? It is coming from Shastra. Krishna picks with his left hand. Sita Devi picks with her left hand. And so many such examples. So when she would clean, she would pick up the bow with her left hand and she would clean underneath. So Janak Maharaj, the father, he thought to himself, the person who gets married to her should at least be able to pick up the bow. if not more. इतना तो करना चाहिए. Because how embarrassing it will be, the wife picking up the bow and the husband can't even pick up. Social status. That picking of the bow in Kali Yuga is the gym. You see, people, especially the youth, are into gym, picking up dumbbells. That dumbbells is nothing but a Kali Yuga interpretation of Sri Ram or Maya Sita picking up the bow. So Janak Maharaj thought, the husband should be able to do at least this much. Standard should be similar. So many kings came and they were not able to pick up. Sri Ramchandra's guru, he looked at Sri Ram and said, do you want to go and try? And Sri Ram is such a personality who would never refuse. So he said, Gurudev, if this is your desire, I will do it. Accepting the instruction of the superior. One time Prabhupada was here in America. And you see how generally there's an Indian tendency that when you want to flip pages or when you have currency, you use your tongue. You see it in India, they use their tongue. And now Prabhupada was there with his disciple, and this disciple was flipping pages and he was using his tongue. Prabhupada looked and said, hey, this is muchi. This is impure. Vedic means you take a bottle of water and dip your finger and then flip. This is Vedic. This is Brahmanical. He said, yes, Prabhupada. He went and took a small bottle of water and he was dipping. And then he was flipping pages. In the meantime, Prabhupada had to leave the room. So Prabhupada left the room. And interestingly, the bottle of water got complete. Shri Shri Radha Nila Madhava ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada left the room. And as he left the room, the bottle of water was done. So now there was no water and Prabhupada was not there in the room. So he thought to himself, why not go back to the old technique? Anyway, Prabhupada is not there. Only one page I have to flip. Why not go back to the old technique? He removed his finger. Put it in his mouth. The moment he put it in his mouth, the doors opened and Prabhupada came. Prabhupada looked at him and said, hey, I told you not to do it. And he was thinking to himself, all this while Prabhupada was not there, I make a mistake and he's coming in front of me. And Prabhupada said, this is muchi. I told you not to do it. Why don't you follow the instruction of our superior? So that disciple was kind enough to even narrate. Probably if we are there, we would think twice. He would explain that Srila Prabhupada emphasized the point of taking the instruction of superiors. And here similarly we find Maryada Purushottam Ramachandra Bhagavan takes the instruction of his superior, that is Gurudev, and goes forward. It is explained when Sri Ram was coming to pick up the bow, he was like a lion. Even before he picked up the bow, people were having tremors because they almost pretty much knew that Sri Ramchandra is going to pick up and break the bow. Sri Ram comes there, offers his obeisances to the bow of Lord Shiva. It is explained at that moment, Lord Shiva, whose bow was kept there and was now to be lifted by Sri Ram, that Maryada Purushottam Ramchandra looked so beautiful, so charismatic. Lokabhiramam Ranarangadiram Rajivanetram Raghuvam Shanatham Karunyarupam Karunakarantam Shri Ramachandram Sharanam Prapadhe. Lokabhiramam Ranarangadhiram. How was Maryada Purushottam Ramachandra? Ranarangadhiram. He is very valiant in battle. He doesn't get afraid of anyone. Rajiva Netram Raghuvam Shanatham. How are his eyes? Oh, they are like a lotus. Our eyes end here. But Sri Ram's eyes are explained. They are big at the center
and they go tapering, and they go and kiss the ear of Sri Ram. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eyes are also explained a similar way by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Krishna's eyes are also like that, big in the middle and tapering towards the end. They almost go and kiss the ear. Sri Ramchandra came there to pick up the bow after offering prayers very effortlessly. He picked up the bow, strung the bow, and broke the bow. It is explained when Sri Ram broke the bow, Maya Sita came down to offer garland. Now it's very fascinating. Sri Ram first offered his garland to Maya Sita, because now it was pretty much orchestrated that Sri Ram is going to marry Sita. Sri Ram offered the garland to Maya Sita. Now it was Maya Sita's time to offer garland, but Sri Ram is standing straight. Sri Ram says, I will not bend. Everyone looks and says, hey, this is marriage. In marriage, bade jhuk jate. This is marriage, my dear Lord, you have to bend. He says, no, I am Kshatriya, I will not bend in front of anyone. People try to convince him, if you don't bend, marriage is only half done. You have put garland, she also needs to put garland. Sri Ram says, I don't know, I am not going to bend. Lakshman is standing there. Lakshman looks at Sri Ram, and out of nowhere, Lakshman jumps and offers obeisances. He offers full obeisances. The moment he offers obeisances, Sri Ram bends and picks up Lakshman. The moment Ram bends and picks up Lakshman, Sita Devi offers garland. Our Lakshman tricks Sri Ram and is on the side of Maya Sita and helps her offer garland. Sri Ram said, all this time you are my brother. The moment marriage has been fixed, now you are on her side. Lakshman said, my dear Lord, kya kare? Karna padta hai. But it's very fascinating, dear devotees. What is the realization for us? What is the teaching for us? Every story that we hear, there is some tattva associated with that. Here in the section we find Sri Ram is Bhagavan. He's Bhagavat Tattva. Sita is like Jiva Tattva. And Lakshman is Guru Tattva. The Jiva Tattva can never access Bhagavat Tattva on its own. And likewise, the Supreme Lord will never bend looking at the devotee. It is only when Sri Guru like Lakshman comes and does the introduction like obeisances, that is when the devotee like Sita can offer the garland of her devotion to the Supreme Lord. We on our own accord can never get Krishna. Because Krishna or the Supreme Lord as Ram has so many devotees. Where are we in the picture? But when Guru does the introduction, that is Lakshman in this case, then that Lord who never bends down looking at the devotee, wanting the devotee to offer the garland of devotion unto his neck. Even the Lord bends, dear devotees. It is very beautifully explained. In Satya Yuga, Bali Maharaj was tied. In Satya Yuga, Bali Maharaj was tied with ropes. In Treta Yuga, Hanuman was tied with ropes. In Kali Yuga, Rupa and Sanatan were tied, which means they were there in the prison. The Supreme Lord thought to himself, in Satya, Treta and Kali, my devotees got bound for me. Can I not get bound for my devotee at least one yuga? Thinking thus, Krishna told Mother Yashoda, all yours. And he was bound as Shri Damodar Bhagavan ki, Shri Radha Damodar Bhagavan ki, Shri Yashoda Damodar ki. That Supreme Lord who probably never bends, looking at the love of his devotee, whether it is Sita Devi or Mother Yashoda here, he completely bends, taking the instruction of the superior. Sita Devi's humility, it is explained, Sita Devi's humility captured the heart of Sri Ram. When they were making the Vaishnav etiquette manual at Radha Gopinath Mandir, Mumbai, They made the complete manual and they gave it to Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj for final proofreading, final check. And Maharaj flipped through pages and he asked for a pen and he wrote just one line in addition to whatever was printed. He took a pen and just wrote one line. He wrote, "The humble servant of Sri Guru is the best preacher." The humble servant of Sri Guru is the best preacher. This line is now printed in Radha Gopinath's Vaishnavi ticket manual. Maharaj just added one line. A humble servant of Sri Guru is the best preacher. And here also we find it is the humility, it is the sincerity of Maya Sita that conquered the heart of Prabhu Sri Ram. Jadurani Mataji explains when she was 18 and when she joined the movement, Srila Prabhupada looked at her and said, "What is your skill?" She said, "Prabhupada, my skill is art." So Prabhupada gave Panchatattva to draw. And she did a very, very good job. So then Prabhupada started giving more and more photos. And at one point, it was 1966 or 1967, Narsingha Chaturdashi. And Prabhupada called Jadurani Mataji and said, "Can you draw Narsingha Dev?" She said, "Okay, is there a photo?" Prabhupada said, "There is no photo." So she said, "How should I draw Narsingha Dev?" Jadurani Mataji explains, Prabhupada stood like Narsingha Dev. He stood like Narsingha Dev with feet bent, hands this way, and face almost like Narsingha. And he looked at Jadurani Mataji and said, "Here is your Narsingha Dev." She said, "Okay." I mean, she took a pen and paper and started drawing. Now you cannot have Prabhupada stand like that for like 6 hours. So she just took that imprint in her head and she started painting. Then there came a time she had little doubts in the final finish. So she went back to the room. And this time she was explaining that Prabhupada had a small photo of Narsingha Dev, but it was very, very blurred. Very, very blurred. But she just wanted to see that photo, just to get some idea. So she went, and in the attic, Prabhupada had kept that photo. So as an 18-year-old, Jadurani Mataji was jumping to see that photo. Prabhupada said, "What are you doing?" She said, "Prabhupada, I just want to see that photo." Prabhupada said, "Why don't you step on the Vyasasana?" So Prabhupada was sitting on the bed and the Vyasasana was empty. Prabhupada said, "Why don't you step on the Vyasasana? You can see the photo more clearly." She said, "Prabhupada, how can I do that? That is your Vyasasana. You sit there and give classes. You sit there and translate. Prabhupada, how I can do that?" Srila Prabhupada looked at her and said, "For the service of Krishna, if you have to step on my head, it is okay. I have no problem. If to please Krishna, you have to keep your feet on my head. My dear Jadurani, that is completely fine. I have no problem with that." While Jadurani Mataji was explaining, she had tears in her eyes. She was saying Prabhupada's compassion, Prabhupada's mood of serving had no end. He could go to any limit to please his Gurudev. What is the teaching here, dear devotees? Lakshman is like that, Guru Tattva. Srila Prabhupada is representing Lakshman. He is representing Balaramji. He is representing Adi Guru Nityananda. We, by our own endeavor, can probably never get Krishna. It is only when Gurudev, it is only when Lakshman beseeches the Lord on our behalf and says, "My dear Lord, please accept him." That is when the Lord even looks at the devotee. Sri Guru is the best gift anyone can get in their lives. After millions of lifetimes, we get a Guru who's bona fide and is ready to turn our face towards Krishna. Never in the history that has ever happened. There are cheaters and there are cheated. It is explained, those who want to be cheated, Krishna will cheat them. But those who are sincere will get a very, very exalted, bona fide Guru in their lives who can help them or help his disciple make advancement. There is a very, very beautiful verse that comes up, dear devotees, glorifying Sri Guru. Please kindly chant along. He Guru Jnanada Dina Bandho स्वानंददाता करुणैक सिंधो वृंदावनासीन हित अवतार प्रसिद्ध राधा प्रणय प्रचार हे गुरु ज्ञानदा दीन बंधो स्वानंददाता करुणैक सिंधो वृंदावनासीन हित अवतार प्रसिद्ध राधा प्रणय प्रचार. This is a verse that's chanted every day in the morning at ISKCON Silicon Valley ISV. When they start their Guru Puja, this is one of the 3 verses that they chant. What does it mean? It's by Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Hey Guru Jnanada Dina Bandhu. My dear Gurudev, who are you? Jnanada. You are the giver of knowledge. But at the same time, you are Dina Bandhu. You are the friend of the poor. What's the use if all the knowledge is there, but the person is not ready to give knowledge? But my dear Gurudev, you are that personality. Hey Guru Jnanada Dina Bandhu. You have the knowledge and you're ready to give that knowledge to everyone. Those who are poor. Swananda Data Karunaika Sindhu, my dear Gurudev. The happiness that you have in your heart, you are ready to distribute that. But how is your happiness? Karunaika Sindhu. Your happiness and your compassion is like an ocean. But my dear Gurudev, who are you actually? Where are you even coming from? Vrindavanasina hita avatara. My dear Sri Guru, you have appeared in this world from Vrindavan Dham, from Navadvip Dham. For what? Hita avatara. For our upliftment. Prasiddha Radha Pranaya Prachara. You have come down to spread the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For our upliftment, my dear Gurudev. To that Sri Guru, this is a very wonderful verse that we can star and we can by heart. Every day in the morning or whenever we get time, this is a prayer that can be chanted for our Gurudev. That my dear Sri Guru, if not for you, I would have been like Sita who was not able to garland Sri Ram, but you came in my life out of causeless mercy. You stepped into my life, whether or not I wanted. You stepped into my life, took charge of my devotional life. And now that you have done the introduction, I can offer the garland of my devotion to the Lord only because of you. Shri Maryada Purushottam Ramachandra Bhagavan ki. When Sri Ram was given this instruction of leaving Ayodhya and going to exile, Sri Ram did not even hesitate. He straight away went to Kaikai and offered his obeisances. That personality who actually gave the instruction to Dasharath Maharaj that Sri Ram should be banished. Sri Ram, having no ill feelings, having no negative feelings, first goes and offers obeisance to Mother Kaikai. And as Sri Ram left Ayodhya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur very beautifully explains. Sri Ram travels to different places. And as he's traveling to different places, he comes to Navadvip Dham. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes, in fact, it is very beautifully explained. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he was small, was a Ram Bhakta. He was not a Krishna Bhakta, he was a Ram Bhakta. But later in his life, there was a transformation where from Ram Bhakta, he became a Radha Krishna Bhakta. But it started with devotion unto the lotus feet of Prabhu Sri Ram. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Navadvip Dham Mahatma and Navadvip Bhav Taranga, he explains as to how Sri Ram came to Navadvip. Navadvipa avatari Radha Bhava Angikari Bhava Kanti Angera Bhushana Tina Vansha Abhilashi Sachi Garbe Prakashi Sange Laye Parashada Gana. Srila Narottam Das Thakur explains, who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Navadvipa Avatari Radha Bhava Angikari. He has now appeared in Navadvip. Not as an avatar, but as an avatari. He is the root. Bhava Kanti Angera Bhushana. Taking the mood and sentiments of Srimati Radharani, his dearest devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared in this world. But why has he appeared? Tina Vancha Abhilashi Sachi Garbe Prakashi. The unfulfilled desires that he had in Krishna Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came down to fulfill those unfulfilled desires by taking his birth in the womb of Sachi Devi. But does he come alone? No. Sange laye parashadagana. He brought all his associates. All the associates of Sri Krishna appeared in the pastimes of Sri Ram, who appeared in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just like when a president or a prime minister goes from one country to another country, he doesn't go alone, but he gets all his cabinet ministers who can assist him. Similarly, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes down, he gets all his associates down. Every single associate who was there in Krishna Leela or Sri Ram's Leela comes down in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world, in the most beautiful place of Navadvip. This land of Navadvip is very, very glorious, dear devotees. Nava means 9 and Dvipa means island. This is that place which is like a lotus. Just like you have a lotus and in the center you have a wall. And surrounding you have petals. Similarly, the center of this petal-like Navadvip is Antardvip. And surrounding that are the 8 petals of the 8 islands. In the center you have Antardvip and surrounding that you have 8 petal-like islands. Very beautifully it is explained. Every island denotes one limb of the 9 limbs of bhakti. What are the 9 limbs of bhakti? What's the first? Shravanam. What's the second? Kirtanam. What's the third? Vishnu Smaranam. Pada Sevanam. Archanam. Dasyam. Sakhyam. Atma Nivedanam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasya Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam, Iti Pumsarpita Vishnu Bhaktische Navalakshanam. The 9 limbs of Krishna consciousness. These 9 islands of Navadvip, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, denotes one limb of Krishna consciousness. But in the center, the Antardvip that is there, denotes Atmanivedanam, complete surrender. And who is that personality who denotes complete surrender? Yes, Bali Maharaj, but greater than even Bali Maharaj, the personality who denotes complete surrender, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, is Srimati Radharani. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is coming down to this world to taste whose mood? Srimati Radharani. He is taking whose complexion? Srimati Radharani. But where is Srimati Radharani present? She is present in the center of the 9 islands, that is in Antardvip. Now if you have to take on someone's mood and get the complexion of someone and try to understand from their lens how they feel, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first has to associate with that person. Srimati Radharani, who is present in the center of Navadvip, that is Antardvip, is where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could have appeared anywhere, but because he wants to taste the mood of Srimati Radharani, he appears in the center, that is Antardvip, in a place called as Yog Peet. Even now when devotees go for Navadvip Mandal Parikrama, this is one of the most prominent places where the devotees are taken. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, one of the last parikramas that he took was Gaur Mandal Parikrama, Navadvip Dham Parikrama. And on the last day, it is explained, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave a class in the evening. And as he gave a class in the evening, one of his sannyasi disciples came there, Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj. He just arrived from London. Saraswati Thakur had sent him to London to preach, but he came there having not been successful. When he came there on the last day of the last parikrama of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it is explained, looked at all the brahmacharis, looked at all the saffron-clad sannyasis who were present. Because Saraswati Thakur had the desire that the names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should be spread far and wide, but somehow it was not happening. This was also the mood of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Saraswati Thakur's mother's last wish, it is explained, was that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's name should be spread everywhere, but somehow it was not happening. Amidst all of this, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur looked to the other side at one personality. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati looked at this personality for a good amount of time. And it is explained, Srila Saraswati Thakur put his hand up and said, I am predicting in the future, someone will spread the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he will be successful to the extent where he will get the whole world to this place of Yogpit. Dear devotees, the personality whom Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati looked at was our Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada as a Grahastha was sitting there as Abhay Charanaravindha Prabhu. And no one could have ever imagined that it is going to be him who's going to spread. It is going to be him who's the next Senapati Bhakta. But just because Prabhupada had the conviction, had the desire to spread the teachings of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada somehow did it. Udayananda Prabhu explains, when Prabhupada would be there in New Vrindavan, between night 12 o'clock and morning 4 o'clock, Prabhupada in New Vrindavan, where it was practically a forest, with a lantern in one hand, Prabhupada would translate. When everyone was sleeping, with one hand lantern, another hand he would translate, or sometimes a dictaphone. Awake all night, wanting to spread the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One time, at 1 o'clock at night, Prabhupada called one disciple. That disciple got up and came to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, at night 1 o'clock, Prabhupada said, what were you doing? He looked at the watch and said, Prabhupada, sleeping. Prabhupada said, why were you sleeping? He said, Prabhupada, everyone sleeps, it is 1 o'clock. Prabhupada said, I am not sleeping. Why are you sleeping? So he said, Prabhupada, yesterday was a long day. No, I was doing constant services, so I am tired. Prabhupada said, I was also doing services. I also had a long day. I am not sleeping. Why are you sleeping? So he understood his game is up. So he looked at Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, you are a pure devotee. Prabhupada looked at him and said, why are you not a pure devotee? So he understood something is wrong. Prabhupada is trying to teach me something. So he said, Prabhupada, what should I do? Prabhupada said, go back to sleep. Now as he was going back, he thought, hey, 1 o'clock at night, why is Prabhupada waking me up? And in the memories, he explains that he was a book distributor. And because he was a book distributor, he felt that because he is distributing so many books, there was a little headweight. There was a little pride. And no one knew about it. But Prabhupada caught it. At night, 1 o'clock, Prabhupada calls him, crushes his false ego and says, go back to sleep. Prabhupada had a very different way of crushing the false ego. Prabhupada landed at Heathrow Airport, London. And you see how reporters would mob. Because it's the first time they're seeing a sannyasi, shaven head, shika. It's a complete new attire. Prabhupada landed in London. The reporters came to Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, can you define hell? Now that's not a time when you can speak the 5th canto Bhagavatam. You have only 30 seconds to answer. They said, Swamiji, can you define hell? Prabhupada said, hell? It is cold, dark and gloomy, just like your London. This is height of crushing false ego. It is cold, dark and gloomy, just like your London. That's the last time the reporter ever asked a question to Prabhupada. Prabhupada could be very, very intelligent and very, very witty in his replies. Srila Rupa Goswami explains that one of the quality of someone who is very pure and very advanced is witty, humor. So here we find Srila Prabhupada was the personality who got the whole world to Navadvip Dham. Navadvip Dham, dear devotees, is such a glorious place. Shri Gaura Mandala Bhumi Je Bajane Chintamani Tara Hoy Braja Bhume Ravasa Gaurangero Duti Pada Jaradhana Sampada Gaurangero Duti Pada Jaradhana Sampada Se Jane Bhakati Adhikai Se Jane Bhakati Adhikar Shri Gaurangero Naam Le Tara Hoy Premudai Shri Gaurangero Naam Le Tara Hoy Premudai Tare Moi Jai Balihari. Our Acharyas very beautifully explain. Shri Gaura Mandala Bhumi Jeva Jane Chintamani. How is Gaura Mandala? How is Navadvip? It is Chintamani. And that personality who understands the glories of Navadvip, only that person has the qualification to understand Vrindavan and then live in Vrindavan. Tara Hoy Braja Bhume Ravas. It starts with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha and Krishna are still far-fetched reality. In Kali, it starts with Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Jai Gaurangero Namalay Tara Hoy Prem Uday Tare Mui Joy Boli Hari. Our Acharyas explain. Those who chant the name of Gauranga, 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 Gauranga. Let it be so loud that everyone in and around Seattle and everyone even in Portland can hear us. Gaurang. Let's do it one more time. Gaurang. Shisha Chinandan Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki. Jai Gaurangero Namuloy Tara Hoy Premuday. Those who chant the name of Gauranga, our Acharyas explain, Prem rises in their heart. Tare Mui Joy Bali Hari. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, they are saying, those who chant the name of Gauranga, victory to them, victory to them, victory to them. Because now, Prem will rise definitely in their heart. Gaurangero Duti Pada Jara Dhana Sampada. The lotus feet of our Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, oh, they are life and soul. This is what Prabhupada is giving all of us, dear devotees. When in the 22nd Avenue, Prabhupada started the movement, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Prabhupada started the Gita class. And initially, we find the hippies would come. And they were not much interested. Their attraction was prasadam. They would come, but the attraction would be prasadam. So Prabhupada would see that they would come for class, but in some time they would leave. So Prabhupada had a master stroke. Mukunda Maharaj, in his memories, he explains, out of nowhere one day, Prabhupada kept a bucket of gulab jamun at the entrance. So you enter, and now there is a bucket of gulab jamun. So Prabhupada would speak for 10-15 minutes. Now the people would get up. because it would be technical. So they would get up. And now they would go out. But as they were going out, they see the bucket of gulab jamun. Now they wanted the bucket of gulab jamun. But to have the bucket of gulab jamun, you have to finish the class. This gulab jamun was so powerful, it made the hippie sit for a 1 hour class. He kept the bucket. This was Prabhupada's form of Lakshman Rekha. There's like Lakshman put Lakshman Rekha and no one could cross. Prabhupada put bucket of gulab jamun. That was his Prabhupada Rekha. And the hippies could not cross. And now because of that gulab jamun, Prabhupada would give the class and at the end, he would give the gulab jamuns. Don't underestimate the power of gulab jamuns. It can be very, very powerful. I was in India. I would say this and we end our discussion. I was in India recently. And in some discussion, I was telling them about Gauranga potatoes. And they looked at me blank. I said, wait a minute. Haven't you heard Gauranga potatoes? They said, no, what is it? Is it just fried potatoes or something? I said, really? Have you not heard Gauranga potatoes? They said, no, Prabhuji, we don't have it here. I said, come to Seattle. Come to America. For y'all, it is just Gyan. For us, it is Vigyan. Come to America, we'll teach you what Gauranga potatoes are. I was recently in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And in some Q&A, we were talking about Ramchandra Puri from Chaitanya Charitamrita and his connection to Prasad. So we brought this point of Gauranga potatoes. Class was done. It was time for Q&A. One American lady was there in the audience. And she was not a devotee, not initiated, but interested. She put her hand up. So the mic went to her. So I said, yes, Mataji, what's the question? She said, where can I find the recipe for Gauranga potatoes? I said, I gave 1 hour class. This was her question. I said, well, you're asking the right person about cooking. And somehow, the head cook was present there. So after the class, she went to the head cook, got the full recipe. How to make Gauranga potatoes. So prasadam is a big time attraction. Time tested. And Prabhupada knew this. And he would keep the buckets of gulab jamun at this entrance of 22nd Avenue. Just so that those who come can hear about the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, can hear about the glories of Navadvip. But why are we even discussing about Navadvip? It is because Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that our Prabhu Sri Ram, when he was in Vanavas, when he was exiled from Ayodhya and he was going from forest to forest to forest, he came to one of the islands in Navadvip Dham. Which was that island? What unfolded there? What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did or what Sri Ramachandra did in that island along with Sita and Lakshman, we will see that tomorrow. Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Sri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki.